the righteous teaches many. But fools die for want of wisdom. The rich man's wealth is in the city. Fixation of the soul is vanity. Destruction of the whole is their poverty. The poor man's wealth is in a holy Why do you fight each other? Why do you kill your brother? Then your reward will be the same tree. Your reward will be in the cemetery. You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:15. Supreme Real Estate, licensed real estate dealers, the experts in residential, commercial, industrial, hotels, and villa sales, rentals, and leases. Supreme Real Estate, Main Street, Salem, Runaway Bay, St. Anne. Call 876-973-5026 or 876-973-6142 and email supremerealestate@cwjamaica.com. There's a retirement crisis in Jamaica, with only approximately 10% of the working population saving towards retirement. Many people do not participate in a formal pension plan, such as contract workers and the self-employed, and some are not eligible for a government pension. Every member of the workforce has the opportunity to participate in a pension plan and secure a monthly income for their retirement. Join Real Business every Monday at 9:30 a.m. for an informative discussion with Peter Rose Hall, Managing Director of BPM Financial, discussing the importance of retirement planning and the solutions to move Jamaica out of this crisis. Retirement Wealth Creation is brought to you by BPM Financial Limited, taking you higher. Experience a night of musical high on Fame Frequency this Saturday. Get ready to sing the night away inside a special edition R&B Meets Lovers Rock Party, 9 p.m. to midnight. Tune in as we kick things off with the musical mixes of Fame 95 events DJ Kevin, alongside the Don, Donovan Dacus, and DJ Celia, hosted by me, your girl, Gretke. Join the live tea party or show off your Smirnoff vodka mixes in our VIP Zoom walking zone area, and tune in live on Fame 95 events, It's 94 FM, and our ETV, online at Spot Media at a mixed level Fame Frequency. That's this Saturday. The ultimate R&B meets Lovers Rock Fame Frequency party returns. Powered by Smirnoff Vodka, the world's #1 vodka. You must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink party responsibly. 2021 to 2030 is the International Decade of Healthy Aging, the International Decade of Ecosystem Restoration, the International Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, and the Decade of Action for Road Safety. It's the 23rd day of the ninth month of 2022, the International Year of Sustainable Mountain Development, the International Year of Basic Sciences for Sustainable Development, the International Year of Glass, and the International Year of Artisanal Fisheries and Aquaculture. Put another way, it's the 23rd day of the fourth month of the 2022 Atlantic hurricane season, and according to Hurricane Fiona Advisory 37A from the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida, hurricane conditions are expected to begin on Atlantic Canada tonight. Meanwhile, Tropical Storm Gaston Advisory 13A shows that Gaston is moving towards the central Azores. Tropical storm conditions and heavy rainfall are expected over the western and central Azores tonight and Saturday. Tropical storm conditions are spreading through the western and central Azores. Heavy rainfall may result in landslides and areas of flooding. Closer to home, there's a weak trough across Jamaica. The trough is expected to remain across Jamaica throughout today. On Saturday, newly formed Tropical Depression 9 is expected to move within the vicinity of Jamaica. Tropical Depression 9 has a high chance of further development over the next few days. Expect increased cloudiness, showers, thunderstorms, and strong gusty winds across sections of most parishes starting Saturday afternoon. Sea conditions are also expected to deteriorate. All small craft operators, including fishers from the Keys and Banks, should be arriving in port to start preparations for safe harbor. Look for showers and thunderstorms mainly across hilly areas and southern parishes, partly cloudy elsewhere. Tonight, partly cloudy. Saturday, isolated morning showers across eastern and north central parishes, becoming mostly cloudy with scattered afternoon to evening showers, thunderstorms, and gusty winds across most parishes. Lingering nighttime showers and thunderstorms. Sunday, cloudy with periods of scattered moderate to heavy showers, thunderstorms, and strong gusty winds across most parishes. Lingering nighttime showers and thunderstorms. Monday will be cloudy with scattered showers and thunderstorms across sections of most parishes. And it's obviously a very busy time in this region with Hurricane Fiona more than 250 kilometers northwest of Bermuda, as reported some time ago. And then there's an area of low pressure located across the far eastern Atlantic. And that one has a high chance of tropical cyclone development in a couple of days. In fact, we're going to zoom in on the impending weather system right now and give you a little more. The National Meteorological Service Division of the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation has issued bulletin number 8. This is the most recent one we have seen. Bulletin number 8, which was published at 11 o'clock this morning, Jamaica time, midday Eastern Daytime. And the heading is Tropical Depression number 9 expected to strengthen over the Caribbean Sea. Fishers urged to complete safety precautions. So here are the details. Tropical Depression number 9 continues to slowly strengthen as it moves across the central Caribbean Sea and advances closer to Jamaica.
A severe weather alert, therefore, remains in effect for the island. At 10 o'clock this morning, the center of Tropical Depression number 9 was located near latitude 14.2 degrees north, longitude 70.1 degrees west, or about 830 kilometers or 615 miles east-southeast of Kingston, or 773 kilometers or 480 miles east-southeast of Morant Point, Jamaica. The tropical depression is moving towards the west-northwest near 22 kilometers per hour. That's 14, the equivalent of 14 miles per hour. And a more westward turn is forecast over the next day or so, followed by a turn back to the west-northwest and northwest by this weekend. Maximum sustained winds are near 55 kilometers or 35 miles per hour, with higher gusts, and slow intensification is forecast over the next day or so, followed by more significant strengthening over the weekend and early next week. On the current forecast track, Tropical Depression number 9 will move over the waters south of Hispaniola on Saturday and move closer to Jamaica's southwestern coastline as a tropical storm on Sunday as it approaches the Cayman Islands. All small craft operators, including fishers from the Keys and Banks, should by now be in port and are urged to complete their necessary safety precautions without delay. In other words, if you have family members, friends, colleagues, neighbors who are out on the Keys and the Banks doing fishing, please tell them it's time to come back in. No time like the present to come ashore, come back to the mainland. It's safer here. And so when you come back to the mainland, then you can obviously complete your safety precautions, what to do with your boats, etc., etc. Now, Jamaica and its territorial waters should begin to feel the impact of the tropical depression as early as midday tomorrow, Saturday, the 24th of September. Again, Jamaica and its territorial waters should begin to feel the impact of the tropical depression as early as midday on Saturday. That's tomorrow, Saturday, the 24th of September, 2022. And in addition to feeling, well, when we talk about feeling the impact of this tropical depression as early as midday tomorrow, Saturday, with an increase in showers and gusty winds. So once Jamaica and its territorial waters begin to feel the impact of the tropical depression as early as midday tomorrow, that that will include an increase in showers and gusty winds. It is likely that a tropical storm watch could be issued for the island later this afternoon. A tropical storm watch could be issued for Jamaica later this afternoon. The Meteorological Service continues to monitor the progress of this system, and all interests, every single one of us, being encouraged to pay special attention to further releases from the Meteorological Service. The next bulletin on this system will be issued at 5 o'clock this afternoon, just in time for the news. At 5 o'clock this afternoon, the next bulletin on this system will be issued at 5 o'clock this afternoon. Stay tuned. to Power 106 FM, and you will be kept abreast of those developments. In the meantime, please allow us to say a lot of the usual observances will continue. Well, we're skipping away from the weather for the time being, pending additional information. Whenever we have more information, we'll share that with you. But let us properly introduce today's program. Some timely reminders here. The month of September is still being observed as Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. And those of us men who are yet to do one of those two tests to identify whether there are any traces that would lead to a conclusion of prostate cancer, now would be a good month. If at no other time, just think of it as something you'll do now in this month for the time being. If that's what it takes to get us to go out and do the test, one of the two tests we're aware of. So September is still Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, National Senior Citizens Month, Employers Month, Alopecia Awareness Month. September is also Travel Agents Month and Cheese Month. Americans continue to observe September as National Preparedness Month and National Hispanic Heritage Month. Meanwhile, all over the globe, people are marking September as World Alzheimer's Month. In the United States, September is Blood Cancer Awareness Month, Healthy Aging Month, National Atrial Fibrillation Awareness Month, National Childhood Obesity Awareness Month, National Cholesterol Education Month, National Food Safety Education Month, and National Idiopathic Thrombocytopenic Purpura ITP Awareness Month activities continue. And thrombocytopenic purpura is an immune disorder in which the blood doesn't clot normally. You can call it ITP for short. Also in the United States, September is National Pediculosis Prevention Month. Pediculosis refers to head lice. More in a moment.
Knowledge is power. Class is in session. Power 106. You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:30. Looking for signage and branding for your business? Call the experts at Hieroglyphics Limited, located at 14 Belatra Avenue, Kingston 10. We do all types of signs, including backlit signs, metal signs, routed signs, channel letter signs, vehicle wraps, banners, and much more. Call us today at 876-906-6910 or 876-906-8196. Hieroglyphics Limited, taking you to the next level. Tune in to Farm Talk every second and third Tuesday of each month at 6:18 a.m. for the feature Hypro Food Independence. Hypro Food Independence will focus on solutions for farmers, such as land, animal husbandry, agronomy, and more. That's Hypro Food Independence every second and third Tuesday from 6:18 to 6:30 a.m. during Farm Talk, only on Power 106 FM. Hypro Food Independence is sponsored by Hypro.
Let's continue with the usual list of observances happening in the month of September. It's National Recovery Month, National Sickle Cell Month, National Yoga Awareness Month, Newborn Screening Awareness Month, Pain Awareness Month, Polycystic Ovary Syndrome, PCOS Month, Sepsis Awareness Month. Sepsis is a serious condition resulting from the presence of harmful microorganisms in the blood or other tissues and the body's response to their presence, potentially leading to the malfunctioning of various organs, shock, and death. Sexual Health Awareness Month and Sports Eye Safety Month are also being observed. It's Independence Day in Armenia, a national day in Saudi Arabia, Shubun Nochi, or Autumnal Equinox Day in Japan, and Grito de Lares in Puerto Rico. Hoy es viernes el 23 de septiembre 2022 y les saludamos en cualquier parte del mundo que nos están escuchando en este momento. Estamos muy agradecidos por el don de la vida y el privilegio de servirles en otra edición de su programa Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia. Nunca vamos a tomar su audiencia por sentado porque sabemos que ustedes tienen otras opciones y esta es la razón por la cual jamás olvidamos darle las gracias por elegir Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia, de lunes a viernes desde las 2 hasta las 5 de la tarde, aquí en Power 106 FM. La misión continúa para educar, capacitar, iluminar y estimular el espíritu empresarial. Bienvenidos. C'est vendredi le 23 septembre 2022 et nous vous saluons tous qui nous écoutez où que vous soyez dans le monde. Nous sommes reconnaissants du don de la vie ainsi que du privilège d'être à votre service par une nouvelle édition de votre programme Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre. Nous ne considérons pas votre fidélité comme l'un de ceux parce que nous savons que vous avez l'embarras du choix. C'est pourquoi nous n'oublions jamais de vous remercier de choisir d'écouter Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre, du lundi au vendredi, de 2h à 5h de l'après-midi, sur notre antenne Power 106 FM. Nous continuons notre mission d'éduquer, d'habiliter, d'éclairer et d'encourager l'esprit d'entreprise. Bienvenue. All we're saying is it's Friday, the 23rd of September, 2022, and we greet you well, wherever in the world you are listening to us right now. We remain eternally grateful for the gift of life and the privilege to serve you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story. We don't ever take your listenership for granted because we know you have choices. And that's why we never ever forget to remember to say thanks for choosing to listen to Both Sides of the Story, Monday to Friday, 2 to 5, right here on Power 106 FM. The mission continues to educate, empower, enlighten, and encourage entrepreneurship. Welcome. Good afternoon to those of you listening to us on 106.1, 106.3, 106.5, 106.7, and 106.9. From Morant Point to Negril Point, from the Goat Islands to Galena Point. This is Power 106 FM, serving Jamaica and the diaspora. Hello to those tuned in via the Power 106 FM app, which you have downloaded from the App Store or the Google Play Store, depending on the nature of your device. Downloading is free, listening is free, whenever, wherever. We acknowledge those who have dialed a designated number to listen to Power 106 FM from the United States and the United Kingdom. Those in the US who wish to dial a number to listen to Power 106 FM can call 631-359-8281. 631-359-8281. If you're in the United Kingdom and you wish to dial a number to listen to Power 106 FM, your number is 0330-606-0953. 0330-606-0953. We're streaming live video on the Dervan Malcolm Facebook page. If you're not there yet, log on to Facebook. In the search box atop the page, type DERVAN MALCOLM, and you too will be able to not just hear, but see what's happening in the studios of Power 106 FM. If you don't have a Facebook account, no sweat, no worries. There is always YouTube, and you don't need to have an account to access YouTube. All you need is a smartphone, a tablet, computer, laptop, desktop, any one of those. Then you need internet connection. But more importantly than internet connection is internet connectivity. And how do you test that? You could open a browser like Google Chrome, and if you're able to browse, then it means you are connected, and you can then start typing the word YouTube. But before you can finish, the box will populate. If you're doing it now, then you should see this video trending. If not, then in the YouTube search box, type DERVANMALCOLM, and you will be able to watch both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. What's on your mind this Friday afternoon? Would love to hear from you. And you know the numbers to call, right? If you don't, let's give you those numbers. 876-922-4112 to 5. Shall we slow them down and spell them out? 876-922-4112, 876-922-4113, 876-922-4114, or 876-922-4115. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can not only send us your text messages, your WhatsApp messages, your voice notes, but you can call us on WhatsApp as well. That number is 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. We have a caller on our text line, which is the same as the WhatsApp number, who started a conversation with us a few days ago and perhaps is looking to complete that conversation now. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Are you there?
Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing?
I am fine. Thanks. And you?
Okay, you say if I want to complete the conversation, but I'm going to take it a little bit different today until probably next week I'll come back with the conversation. I listened to Mr. Peter Bunting on the news this morning, and he was saying something concerning some police officer who applied for a license firearm.
Yes.
He said they deny them, but one of the officers, he get a copy of the denial letter. He said the letter stated that reason for the denial.
All right, hold on now. Try not to change your, I'm not sure if you're moving or changing your original position, but the line is breaking up, the signal, and it doesn't help the fact that we have so much unstable weather in this region as well. So that could be one of the factors contributing to the strength of signals during this time. That's something to consider. So, right. So let's go again. Hello? Are you? I did hear the story. I was listening to the news this morning, but you can go ahead.
Yes. No, he was saying the reason for denial. One of the copy of letter he got was the letter said the reason for denial is place of residence. That tell me where he live.
Yes, and in fact, I heard that, and I made a note of it that I was supposed to talk about it this afternoon. So you're spot on. It seems I'm not sure what are the how the criteria are arrived at when it comes to giving or granting a member of the police force a license to carry a concealed weapon, or however they put it. It This business where you can just get up and say, because of where the policeman lives, uh, he shouldn't be allowed to carry a licensed firearm. That that is discrimination, big time. That is
Yeah.
discrimination,
Correct.
and because in any other, it doesn't have to be a community that is regarded as being volatile. In any other community anywhere in Jamaica, what? Because those are not regarded as volatile, so those people who live in those areas will freely get guns, but the rest of us who live in so-called volatile areas, no, that's discrimination. And that, it seems to me, when I listened, I thought to myself, whoever is responsible for drafting those those requirements need to be more, let's just say they need to be more thoughtful and more mindful of the signals they're sending with that kind of seemingly frivolous uh, frivolous requirement. Yeah. Oh, your line still needs to be straightened out. Say that again.
The authority put laws and measures in place that wherever you live, it should not have to do with you applying for internet. In other words, it should not deny you no government service because of where you live. Because bear in mind, everybody can live one place.
Yeah, I mean, it's a policeman I gathered who had served for about 40 plus years or so, and obviously in retirement now, and maybe feels a little volatile, a little threatened, and would want to give himself a chance in his mind by getting a licensed firearm. And you're going to tell this man who has been living in this area for many years that he because of the area in which he lives, they cannot grant him a license. No, that's not, that doesn't sound professional either. It doesn't sound professional. Firearms licensing authority, please take that back to the drawing board, the famous drawing board. Wheel and come again. Are you still there? All right, hold the line, please. One moment. In the meantime, try and get near a window or a door or some other opening, because the signal is breaking up.
Tune in every Thursday at 3:30 p.m.
All
for
right.
your legal corner with Dervan.
Sure.
Hearing both sides of the story with Dervan Malcolm on Power 106 FM. It's your source of information regarding U.S. immigration matters, combined with Power 106 FM's pioneer of diaspora broadcasting. Call in with your U.S. immigration queries and concerns on 876-9224-11225 or send a text or WhatsApp message to 876-279-8598 and get the answers you need for your U.S. immigration questions. That's your legal corner with Dana Walker Huntington, Thursdays at 3:30 p.m. during both sides of the story with Dervan Malcolm, only on Power 106 FM.
So the reason, and the caller is going to call back in a moment, the reason given by the Firearms Licensing Authority for not granting these permits is that they believe the officers, because of where they live, are likely to be placed in greater danger if they are armed. But any way you take it, they are police personnel and people already know who they are. And they've had to go through life during their professional life as a member of the constabulary. And even before that, the moment you consciously determine or decide that you are going to join the constabulary force. It means you are subjecting yourself to everything that comes with it. And therefore, one can understand the feeling on the part of some of the policemen and women that they need to apply for a permit to carry a licensed firearm to protect themselves, not just in the summer, in a manner of speaking, in the summer of their profession, in the summer of carrying out their duties, but even in the winter, meaning when they get older and when they get to the retirement age, they still need to be protected. When you look at the United States, the presidents are protected for life. The presidents and their families, protected for life. And those who hold certain other significant positions, they are protected for life. No, I'm not necessarily saying that we should do that. But if the police come forward and say, look, I think I'm going to need a firearm for whatever reason. Naturally, the reason being for protecting himself and his family, or herself and her family. And so, FLA, you might want to take another look at the requirements so that they don't come across as being discriminatory, even if that was not your intention in the first place. 876-922-4112 Good afternoon. Oh, sorry, we lost that caller. Let's try again. 876-922-4112 876-922-4112 Let's clear a couple of messages right now. Here we go. Velta Wilson says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm and listeners. Please stay safe in this season. And you do likewise, Velta Wilson in St. Thomas. Audrey Smith says, afternoon, Dervan and listeners everywhere. Listening from Southampton. Keep doing the good work. Thank you very much, Audrey Smith in Southampton in England. Lisa Brown Campbell says, on the subject of Senior Citizens Month, yesterday's Senior Spelling Bee competition was really exciting. Indeed, quite eventful for those of us who were close to the action. Not just exciting, but very eventful. And we're happy that we all came through that. It was quite something. Angela in Toronto, Canada says, good afternoon, all. Just a quick stop. Thank you for the quick stop, Miss Angela. Now, please move and continue moving. I'm kidding. Stay if you wish. Nigel McCrae says, hello, Mr. Malcolm. New York start to get cool, or it's getting cooler or cooler in New York. It's that time of year, eh? Getting closer, almost. But it wouldn't be surprising for a temperature drop this early. It wouldn't be surprising. Alistair Prayog says, we have you locked, teacher. Oh, that's very kind of you to say. Jacqueline Simmons says, good afternoon, blessing to you too, Jacqueline Simmons. Mikey D says, good evening. Still afternoon here in Jamaica, but we can understand it's evening in London. So Mikey D says, good evening, Mr. Malcolm. Happy Friday to you and your listeners. London locked in. That is good to know. It's now 9 minutes to 9 o'clock in the night in the UK. 9 minutes to 3 o'clock in the afternoon right here in Jamaica. Chris Banton, how are you? He says, big up yourself, Sir Malcolm. Big up to the Ministry of Health. Mr. Malcolm, I got vaccinated in Jamaica. Can you, where did that message go? Can you Can you believe I was able to get my vaccination card validated here in Canada? All I did was to go on the Ministry of Health website, submit my info. The ministry sends you a code to the sends a code to the phone number you provide. You take that code, open your profile. Within seconds, a QR code is generated. I printed my QR code, submitted it to the public health department here. Less than 24 hours. Message jumped again. Where did it go? Less than 24 hours, my vaccination card was validated. We're happy for you. Happy for you, Chris Banton. Thank you very much for sharing your happiness. You know, happiness, as my former colleague Altie Hilton used to say, and still does, happiness has to be shared. Happiness has to be shared for it, or real happiness, true happiness has to be shared. Because think about it. On your own, yes, you can think to yourself that you feel good about yourself and you're happy with yourself and about yourself and happy for yourself and all of these things. But that's just you. Now, when you share that with others and you put a smile on their faces, especially those who care about you and who are happy for you, because not every, what's the Jamaican expression? I know every kin teeth a laugh. Yes, I know every kin teeth a laugh. Yeah, my mother used to say that too. In other words, you see some people smiling. Another expression, I think there's some connection to the Bible as well. Essentially saying you see a man's face, but you don't see his heart. You don't know what is inside there, right? But happiness, really and truly, has to be shared in more ways than one. So that if you're happy, how about spreading that happiness, sharing the happiness? And at this time, when we're supposed to be preparing for a storm system, which is now a tropical depression 9, check on your neighbors. Are they all right? Do you know of anyone in the community who is struggling, who could do with maybe a pound or two of flour, some sugar, not too much sugar, some rice, a couple of tinned foods? There would be no time like the present. No time. There's no time like the present for such an outreach. But just if you have to, maybe you have an elderly neighbor who is not able to just sort of restore a section of the roof. Maybe it's been lifting for whatever reason and causing a leak. Now would be a good time to not just help yourself if you too are having these issues, but help your neighbors. How about that? Jennifer Stewart says, good afternoon, sir. Please. Oh, yes. I know the news you're going to share with me because I saw it online. Yeah, she says, please send my condolences to the family of Mrs. Sybil Thompson. I miss her so much, gone but not forgotten. She's always in my heart. Rest in peace, Mrs. Thompson. We join you in conveying condolences to the family, friends, colleagues, neighbors, and to you, Jennifer Stewart. Condolences on the passing of Mrs. Sybil Thompson. She was quite a supporter of Calabar High School, I should tell you. She would attend fundraisers at the school. So, for example, the evening of musical excellence, she would always be there. And I think she was the one who got me to participate in an event that was held at St. Andrew Parish Church Hall, which is behind which plaza is that again? The plaza in the Halfway Tree Square. not too far from Scotiabank. The Scotiabank that is closer to Constant Spring Road. But anyway, she was quite a special lady, and our condolences to her family. Alistair Preog says, but their life is at more risk if they don't get the permit to carry a firearm when they retire. Exactly. And I'm not drawing a parallel, but you could look at it in another sphere, in another realm, in another setting. The gangsters. One of the reasons why even those who might be considering putting down the gun have not put down the gun is because they know that they will be wide open the moment they put down their guns. And so that's one of the reasons. And by the way, I don't know if our colleague Earl Moxham is at the United Nations for the 77th General Assembly, but we're going to try to get in a word, because there's a particular issue that Earl Moxham has been reporting on for years. And finally, and I say finally because it's the first time I was hearing Prime Minister Holness making reference to the matter of small arms and the fact that we here in Jamaica don't manufacture guns, and therefore we need the help of countries, especially the United States, our neighbors, to assist in stemming the flow of illegal guns from the United States to Jamaica. Earl Moxham has been championing that subject for a long time now. We'll see if we can find him if he's not too busy. So Alistair Preog, thank you for your message. Tiny Beckles in Toronto, Canada says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm and listeners across the globe, listening from Toronto, Canada. Welcome, Tiny Beckles, Miss Tiny. Norman Hines in St. Thomas is online as well. Good afternoon to you, Norman Hines, and we accept afternoon greetings on behalf of the listeners as well. He says, Dervan supermarket full, the people buying up like wow. And that's the usual situation. You want to make sure you have your, oops, look at the time. Let's go to the break and come back.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3 o'clock. The Issa Manning Cup schoolboy football competition is in full swing, and Power Play will bring you live reports and updates on the football matches. Listen to every Tuesday at 7:15 p.m. right here on Power 106 FM. Live reports will be brought to you by Chad Distributors Limited, KFC, and Alice Duane and Company Limited.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Just had a word with Earl Moxham. All things being well, he'll be joining us at 4:30. He's scheduled to join us at 4:30 this afternoon, and we look forward to that. We look forward to that. In the meantime, let's continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. Taking your calls on 876-922-4112 876-922-4112 and let's see, just wanted to bring up some information here in relation, right. All right, let's go to, all right, let's just clear the other messages first. Let's get them out of the way. Inez Ayona Campbell says, good afternoon, everyone. A very cool Friday it is. Orain Malcolm, one of my brothers, says, good afternoon, my brother. I'm listening to you and watching you at the same time. Isn't that wonderful? Inez Ayona Campbell says, please help me welcome my American-born Jessica Hines to Jamaica today. Sorry, mommy has to work. Next time, my friends, says Inez Ayona Campbell. Thank you very much for your message. Cherry Henry says, have a safe weekend, Mr. Dervan and listeners. To you too, Cherry Henry. Good afternoon to Sean, who's greeting us on YouTube as well. James Edwards says, bless up yourself, Sir Malcolm, East London. Welcome, James, in East London. Asher Ash says, good afternoon, Mr. Dervan. Just tuning in from London, UK. Welcome from London, UK, Asher Ash. And we're sorry you missed us yesterday because we weren't streaming yesterday. We had other duties yesterday. But thank you very much for your message. And let's clear some more. Where do we go? Let's go to, let's go up the line. Up the line. And let's see. Good afternoon to Franklin McDonald, who's always listening. He says, today is the eve of Republic Day in Trinidad and Tobago. Tomorrow they celebrate 46 years as a republic. Is there a lesson there for Jamaica as we continue to talk about becoming a republic? Yes, we're so accustomed to Jamaica leading for decades, eh? And as Jamaicans, some of us feel really hurt when it appears that we are being less than forthright and firm in our position as a sovereign nation. And thank you very much, Franklin McDonald, for your message. Food for thought there. Thanks to Joan in Bermuda for keeping us updated. And in fact, we are scheduled to speak with Joan to give us a sense of how things have been in Bermuda and how things are now. And we are going to be connecting with Joan Richardson in Bermuda shortly. So we're going to We're going to do that in just a moment and hear how things have been going in Bermuda since the onset of conditions brought on by Hurricane Fiona. So while we're getting Joan in Bermuda on the line, let's greet Donovan. Donovan Campbell says, "Good day, Mr. Malcolm, viewers and listeners." Good day to you, Donovan. Thank you very much for making it both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. But she has sent us a lot of information. She's been feeding us with information, and we're just scrolling through now. Bermuda withstands Category 4 Hurricane Fiona. Oh, that's quite an achievement from what some people like to refer to as this tiny dot out in the Atlantic with a population of approximately 60,000 people. We're going to speak now with life member of the Jamaican Association Bermuda, very active member of the association, proud Jamaican and a proud citizen of Bermuda. And we're talking about Joan Richardson. Hello, Joan Richardson. How are you? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sir D. I am very well, thank you, sir.
And happy to hear that. And thank you for your patience as you waited for us to connect with you.
No, thank you for having me.
Yes, good. Thank you.
Very nice.
All right, so first
No
up,
problem at all.
wonderful. First up, how did you and your family fare, and the broader family of people in Bermuda, including Jamaicans?
Okay, I think we done extremely well. We suffered no loss of property, no property damage at all, and for the most part, everyone seems to have had the same complaint. We just didn't have power. I got my power back on about 10 minutes ago.
And when did the power go out?
In my case, it was at 1:45 this morning.
Okay. What were the conditions like at that time? Do you recall?
Very, very windy. Very, very windy. The ocean was just roaring. And very little rain. But the wind was, oh gosh, it was unbearable.
Like a howling sound, eh? The howling wind.
Exactly.
Mm.
Yes, I can say she was whistling.
What about the water, the rainfall? I get the impression that you had more wind than rainfall, or did you have
more wind than rain? Just a shower here and there.
Mm-hmm. So no any instances of flooding, any particular areas impacted by flooding or other water related damage?
None whatsoever. And the minister gave the go-ahead for folks to move about 2 hours ago.
I see.
They said, you got the green light, but just don't overdo it. On the go out if you really need to be somewhere, unless you have to go to work,
Are there particular areas that are out of bounds that the government of Bermuda has said, look, please stay away from this area or that area?
That was first thing this morning, but not anymore. There were 2 areas. One is St. David in the eastern end, and the other St. George's, which is very adjacent to each other. So trees had come down, so traffic was restricted.
Right.
And through it all, the causeway which leads to the airport was kept open.
Oh, very good.
That's the entrance into St. David's and St. George's.
Yes.
So they were closely monitoring that.
So no major impact in terms of, like, say, fallen trees blocking roads?
No, those were the only two that they mentioned on the news.
Oh,
And we suffered I didn't hear of anyone suffering major structural damage. No.
right. And what about your utilities, your telecommunications? And I know you mentioned electricity, that you lost, you had a power cut at home at around 1:45 this morning, and the power
Yes.
came back, you said, what, a few hours ago?
No, about 20 minutes ago.
Oh, almost a while ago, just a while ago.
Yes, just a short while ago.
So what was,
But I couldn't,
sorry, go ahead.
use my phone.
Mhm.
So that was impacted for a bit.
Right.
And then I could make local calls, but I couldn't, call like WhatsApp. That was done.
I see.
And then a few hours later, the data came up.
Mhm.
So I was able to use my data. And just 20 minutes or so, I can, now I can go back on Wi-Fi.
Is it fair to say you now have a well-oiled machinery in Bermuda when it comes on to managing impending disasters, considering?
Oh, definitely.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
definitely.
Mhm. Yeah.
Definitely.
And what are some of the features or the mechanics of this efficient and effective disaster preparedness and management mechanism that you have in Bermuda? Are there particular things that people do and do without complaining, or in other words, they follow certain guidelines, restrictions, announcements?
I tell you the first one that comes to mind.
Yes.
We don't have any drainage problem where people put things in the wrong place.
Oh, really? No, that's important. That's
No.
a breaking story. You don't have problems, blocked drains, and people dumping things in your drains?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
That makes a huge difference.
Yes. And a lot of it is attributed to that.
Oh.
You would never find that.
I see.
Even though we have a 1 day per week garbage pickup.
Oh,
we don't have that.
I see. One moment, please.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:15.
Tune in every Thursday at 3:30 p.m. for Your Legal Corner with Dana Walker Huntington, during both sides of the story with Dervan Malcolm on Power 106 FM. It's your source of information regarding U.S. immigration matters, combined with Power 106 FM's pioneer of diaspora broadcasting. Call in with your U.S. immigration queries and concerns on 876-922-411225, or send a text or WhatsApp message to 876-279-8598 and get the answers you need for your U.S. immigration questions. That's Your Legal Corner with Dana Walker Huntington, Thursdays at 3:30 p.m. during both sides of the story with Dervan Malcolm, only on Power 106 FM.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, the story of Jamaicans at home and abroad. And online, we have Joan Richardson. She is a life member of the Jamaican Association Bermuda. And she's retired now, but she's still quite active and very, very community oriented and playing her part. She has been sharing with us her experience of Hurricane Fiona, and I've just received some pictures, Mrs. Richardson. I'm not sure if these, because I know sometimes people do that where they find old pictures from a previous event and because a similar event happens, then those pictures are posted. I don't know if that is the case. No, I'm just saying in terms of damage to houses, to for example, or buildings in general. I mean, have you? I mean, notwithstanding its size, I'm sure it would still take a little while for you to be able to drive around to take a look at what has happened. But what is the extent of damage, like to houses, for example?
Uh, minimal, I think. Were those pictures from me?
No, no, not pictures from you. Someone has sent these
Oh,
pictures from onto the Power 106 FM WhatsApp number, and labeled it, where is it, pictures, or damage done after Fiona passed Bermuda. So for example, I'm seeing what looks like a car mart. There's a shattered glass there, a bit of shattered glass. There are a couple, looks like a car dealership. So there is that.
no, I have no knowledge of that. That was not mentioned on any
Right.
of the newscasts I followed today.
Right. And I'm seeing a blue house. I mean, there are many blue houses, no doubt, but a blue house with a ruffled ruffled roof. And then there's another picture of
What color is the roof?
looks, is that gray? It could be just maybe gray or black.
Bermuda only has white roofs.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Has a white roof.
And that's what I remember. That's why I'm questioning the pictures. This one shows the side of a house being gutted, or looks like made more of wood than brick, but and
I doubt that would be Bermuda.
yes,
As I said, all our roofs are white because
yes,
of the limestone.
right,
Because we get our water when it rains, we get our water is collected in the gutters on the roof, which goes into the holding tank. When one is building a house, the first thing that's built is the holding tank. And that's completed with an electric pump that pumps it through the house, where it needs to go.
you're perfectly right, because these roofs I'm looking at are look like slab roofs, flat, straight, flat, unlike yours, which have layers and sort of white, and it's white. So I think you're right. I think you're right. These are not representative of Bermuda's roofs. So whoever sent those pictures, if you can verify, let us know if you can verify that those are in fact pictures taken recently.
For all the buildings, it's the same roof.
Yes, absolutely. All right. And in terms of the status now, is it that come Monday everybody's back to school and back to work, or?
Yes, that would be the case.
And is it a given that there was no school today?
No school today.
Okay.
And all government offices were closed today as well. Are closed today.
Okay. Right. Well, and is there any other information in relation to the system and its impact that you would like to share with our listeners at home and abroad?
Well, I think she's gone now. I think she's already to Canada.
Yes, indeed. That's the projection. That's the projection.
Yes, I think she's gone. She's very gone from us.
Yes.
And back to the garbage. People here, we have one day we pick up throughout the island, and recyclables are collected every other week on different days, depending on where you live. And if people have a buildup of garbage at home, we nicely take it where it needs to go.
Yes.
The facilities usually open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and people just put their stuff in their cars and take it there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that makes a difference. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Makes a difference.
Yes.
Great. Well, we certainly want to thank you for taking the time out to share with us your experience with Hurricane Fiona in Bermuda, and we're sure you'll continue to keep us posted if there are any further developments.
I sure will, and I'm happy that 50 not wind is gone, because it's not nice listening to that. It's
Yes.
close to the ocean, so it's,
Mm-hmm.
you can imagine.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Mm. Off the beach.
Yes. Yes, indeed. You should give us a report on that when next you get the opportunity to go to see if Fiona took away the pink sand from the beach.
Yes, I definitely will.
But in the meantime, thanks again. Thanks a lot.
And thank you.
And
thanks for your prayers, Jamaica.
Amen.
We can crew.
Thank you very much. All the best.
Have a great day. And I wish you best with your system, because I understand Jamaica is going to be having some unsettling weather over the weekend.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Maybe as early as midday tomorrow, Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So.
All right. I wish you all the best. And, people who don't have to be out there, especially the fisher folk, if you need to stay home for a couple of days, please do.
Right. Thank you very much. Sound advice there.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you very much. Coming up, we did mention earlier on 4:30 for Earl Moxham's interview with us, but we've brought that forward, and so it's going to be at 3:30. So at 3:30, we are going to be connecting with Earl Moxham, and just to keep you informed on this subject. The extent to which we have to be contending with these small arms, these guns and ammunition, most of it coming from the United States. Haiti is in the mix as well, has been in the mix for some time, but in particular from the United States. And so Jamaica has been a staunch supporter of the Arms Trade Treaty, and the Prime Minister has told the United Nations that we are working towards its full and effective implementation, and there's a call on all arms exporting countries to abide by their legally binding obligations under the treaty. Jamaica chaired the recently convened 6th biennial meeting of states on the program of action to prevent, combat, and eradicate the illicit trade in small arms and light weapons. And so that interview is coming up with Earl Moxham. So we'll keep it going. I'll keep the program running for another few minutes before we bring in Earl Moxham. But let's clear these messages first here on both sides of the story, Power 106 FM. And the reason we have called Earl Moxham is that he has been championing this cause by in doing his work as a journalist. He has been championing this cause in terms of bringing to public attention, the global attention too, by virtue of our media entities being global, the impact of these small arms, these illegal weapons on our society. A country that does not make weapons, as in guns. We don't manufacture guns, but yet still guns are so readily available in our population. Serious issue. And there's a feeling that our our neighbors to the north of us, the great United States of America, uh, has been less than concerned or not showing enough of a concern for this matter, which is affecting and has been affecting our society for decades. So that discussion is coming up. We'll come to that. In the meantime, let's clear a few more messages. Ranny Bell in St. Thomas, good afternoon. Sharon Richards says, pleasant afternoon, Sir Malcolm and all listeners out there. Let's keep safe this weekend. One love to you too. Sharon Richards. Elroy Joseph says, good afternoon, Teach, and all your listeners. Please be safe this wet weekend and in the week to come. Thank you very much, Elroy, for your message. All the very best. Tony C says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. Bless up to all listeners. Let's go over to WhatsApp. Vivet Malcolm says, Dervan, I didn't know the population of Bermuda was only 61,768 people. Not too many people at all. Yes, that's the population. And let's see who else. Carlton Levy says, Mr. Malcolm, sir, good afternoon. What I'm saying is if a security guard can get a licensed firearm, that when he leaves work and hands over his firearm on the street to his... One moment, please.
Protecting Jamaica's borders from illicit imports and exports is a key priority for the Jamaica Customs Agency. The JCA will remain vigilant and resolute in effectively fulfilling this mandate. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is 3:30. Farmers, come for a candid conversation with the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, the Honorable Pernell Charles Jr. Learn more about the agricultural sector and the role we all play with its development. That's a Morning with the Minister, every second and fourth Friday of every month during Farm Talk with Alfie McKenzie, right here on Power 106 FM.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Carlton Levy says, Mr. Malcolm, sir, good afternoon. What I'm saying, if a security guard can get a licensed firearm, that when he leaves work and hands over his firearm on the street to his something here, and FLA grants him a firearm license. So what about the police? They should have granted them a firearm license as well. All right. Thank you for your message, Carlton Levy. Patriotic Jamaican in New York says, Mr. Malcolm, I don't understand. If this police officer has been living in this community through all these years of serving as a police officer, how comes there was no problem with him in control of a firearm? Or is it that as a police officer, he was not allowed to have a firearm while at home? By denying this former police officer the ability to protect himself and his family, the authorities are just proving to the rest of us how much they have handed over the country to the bad man. Real bad situation, says Patriotic Jamaican in New York. Well, I'm a Jamaican, and I consider myself a patriotic Jamaican in New York, and I haven't played any role in handing over any country to bad people. Clarky Bless in Hunstown, St. Mary says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. Happy Friday to you and your listeners. Could you be kind enough to play the gospel song, There is a Place Up There for People Like You? Clarky Bless, Hunstown, St. Mary. Can't make any promises right now, Clarky Bless, Hunstown, St. Mary, but we'll see. Good day, Mr. D. A question, how tall is Blue Mountain in feet? I believe off the top of my head, it's 7,402 feet, which works out, well, you asked for it in feet, yes. 7,402 off the top of my head. That's what I'm recalling. And in terms of meters, 2,000 something meters. Uh, is that homework you're doing, Delroy, TL? Uh, thank you very much for your message. And good afternoon to James in East London for the usual collection of stories. Right, it is time for us to have a word with the special projects editor. I hope I'm getting that right. A Jamaican journalist of international repute. He doesn't like this kind of thing, I need to stop. Mr. Earl Moxham, how are you, sir? Good afternoon.
Hi, Dervan. So if I could tell you some WhatsApp emojis now, I would be telling you the one with the blushes.
With the
with the blushes and the hiding of the face. Anyway, good to join you. Good to be with you as always.
Thank you so much for joining us. Can you first of all, so that we have everybody on the same page, enlighten those of us who don't know, and remind those of us who perhaps, if even in a cursory way, have an idea of the concern about the availability of these illegal weapons, most of them coming from our neighbors in the great United States of America. Can you give us the backstory before we get to the most recent international attention that has been brought?
Maybe the best way to do that is to contextualize that is to make reference to a Gleaner story a few weeks ago with that since independence in 1962, or for the 60 years 1962 to 2022, there have been, I think, over 45,000 murders in Jamaica. Most of those murders were committed with the use of guns. There's no doubt about that. But if you go back to the annual statistics, which I don't have in front of me, but we know for a fact, but if you go back to the annual statistics, let's say for the first 10 years of the period 1962 to 1972, you would see that the numbers were very low. Say 1962 or thereabouts, it was like 100 and odd. And for the first 5 years or so during that decade, it tended to be around 100 plus, 200 plus. When we came into the 70s, and I would link that directly, it is not that, I would suggest that it was not that we did not have persons of evil intent, just then as we have now, but the availability of the kinds of weapons to kill with ease, that availability was significantly lower than it became in later years. Which then takes me into the 1970s, when particularly, let's say after 1974 onward, the society then sort of devolved into a period of ideological conflict, and guns began to come into the country from the two sides of the Cold War then. And so we saw that increase in gun crimes from, let's say, 1974 upward. The numbers began to spike alarmingly up to 1980, when we then recorded we then had this horrendous, what we thought was a horrendous number of murders that year, which was
800 plus?
804, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And at least 50% of that was attributable to direct political warfare. So after 1980, the political conflict abated.
True.
But the guns remained.
Mm-hmm.
And so the guns then were put to use in other areas of crime and became very much part of the currency of the drug smuggling culture. And we have never returned to that pre-1970s era in terms of having a small amount of guns. Once we established the viability of the trade route for guns, then it picked up speed, and we established as well that the best way, the easiest, the most convenient route for guns into Jamaica was through the United States or from the United States. And I would make this additional point, Dervan. When we speak about American guns entering Jamaica, we're not just confining it, or we ought not to confine it just to guns entering directly from American ports into Jamaica, but American guns entering through third countries. So American guns have entered all of Central and South America and the Caribbean. And from many of those other countries, there has been a continuation of that movement from some of those countries into Jamaica as well. So it's directly from the United States and then from third countries into Jamaica as well.
Mm-hmm. And so now, what has been the general response from what you have experienced, seen, heard, read of the rest of the world, in particular our neighbors up north? Is there a consistent position that they have taken in response to the concerns expressed by Jamaica?
There have been sort of two main concerns. First of all, their bottom line is that under their constitution, Americans have a basic right to bear arms. So in terms of the proliferation of small arms in the American society, the availability of guns in the American society, that is not to be touched. And we have seen what has happened to the American society and the American people because of the availability of those guns, which have moved from pistols to these high-powered rifles, and the AR-15 has become the latest tool of the terrorists, so to speak, in the United States, mowing down children in school and worshippers in churches and mosques, etc. But then, in terms of our bilateral relationship with the United States, when we say to them, okay, we understand your issues there in terms of the prevalence of guns, we are not seeking to interfere with that. What we are saying is you must do all within your powers to stem the flow of those guns into other countries such as Jamaica. That was in the 1990s. For example, when the Americans under Bill Clinton decided that in order to deal with the drug smuggling problem, they were going to impose on Jamaica and other Caribbean countries unilaterally the shipwright agreement. Their argument was that as long as we deal with the drug problem, we will also effectively deal with the gun problem. And the response of persons like Prime Minister P.J. Patterson and the Prime Minister then of Barbados, Owen Arthur, was no, we need to have specific provisions in this agreement which would commit you more specifically to addressing the gun smuggling problem, because the guns do not just come with the drug shipment. The guns come directly through the ports from the United States by Jamaicans, many of them, sending guns back to their relatives and friends and gang members in various communities. So you need to commit to doing more to prevent, to cover those guns and block their entry into Jamaica, and to assist us with give us technical support at our ports as well. That is where I think the Americans have fallen down in their relationship with Jamaica. They have never taken it as seriously as they ought to take it. And you can well imagine that had this been a problem originating in Jamaica and creating havoc in the American society,
would be in
you
trouble.
understand the reaction we'd have got from them.
Mm-hmm.
There's also, though, a vast difference in approach along political lines in the United States. So, for example, the Obama administration agreed to, supported, and signed onto the UN Small Arms Trade Treaty in about 2013. which was like a red flag to a bull for the Republicans because of the pressure that the NRA and other
National Rifle
the National Rifle
Association.
Association and other groups there, they have been emerged as well a National Association for Gun Rights in the United States. And so when Donald Trump came to the presidency, he immediately pulled the United States out of that treaty. And as far as I know, the Biden administration has not yet returned to signing on to that treaty, though it continues to speak favorably and is speaking in support of the aims of that treaty. But the point is that as long as that problem is not dealt with in terms of the supply side of the guns, then Jamaica, I put it to you, will continue to be undermined by the sort of high crime rate and the murders that we're seeing in Jamaica. Because I know our police, our security forces do a fairly good job of recovering guns here in Jamaica.
True.
They're averaging 600 to 700 guns recovered per year. I think that the report earlier this year was that they had already recovered more than 500 this year. So to imagine that there are so many more available despite that success rate, it tells you how far we are from solving that problem. No, my point is that no matter how much you try to intervene in terms of social outreach and trying to provide economic opportunities in some of these blighted communities,
as long as the weapons are available, yes.
Then you have a problem.
Yeah. So now, where are we? Because I get the impression that we, for example, the Prime Minister, I believe, says Jamaica has been a staunch supporter of the Arms Trade Treaty, ATT, and we're working towards its full and effective implementation. What will that look like? One moment, please. Earl Moxham, Special Projects Editor within the RGR Gleaner Communications Group, speaking with us on this afternoon's edition of Both Sides of the Story. We're talking about the Arms Trade Treaty and related matters, the availability of these small arms to our people, and the death and destruction that they cause, or that they, by virtue of those who use them. One moment, please.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:45. Experience a night of musical high on Fame Frequency this Saturday. Get ready to sing the night away inside a special edition R&B Meets a Lovers Rock Party, 9 p.m. to midnight. Tune in as we kick things off with the musical mixes of Fame 95 FM's DJ Kevin, alongside the Don, Donovan Dacus, and DJ Celia, hosted by me, your girl, Fresky. Join the non-excluded party or show off your Smirnoff vodka mixes in our VIP Zoom Rocky Silk area. And tune in live on Fame 95 FM, Hits 92 FM, and our ETV, online at Romspot Media and on Mixcloud at Fame Frequency. That's this Saturday. The ultimate R&B meets lovers rock Fame Frequency party returns. Powered by Smirnoff Vodka, the world's #1 vodka. You must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink and party responsibly.
Special Projects Editor with the RGR Gleaner Communications Group, Earl Moxham, is online. He's been following up this particular scenario of the being in the backyard, in a manner of speaking, of the United States, and the flow of weapons, small arms, right in our backyard, and the seeming, some might say, reticence or indifference on the part of the great United States of America to, notwithstanding the fact that the government at any given time has to pay attention one way or another to organizations like the Rifle Association, etc. But to the question, going to the break, Earl Moxham, the Prime Minister says Jamaica has been a staunch supporter of the Arms Trade Treaty, ATT, and we are working towards its full and effective implementation. What is that likely to look like?
Yes, the challenge there, Durban, is that the treaty um, places the great obligation, or it mostly obliges the states that are the export parties in terms of being responsible in their in what they export, whether it is the arms themselves or the ammunition or parts thereof.
Yes.
Obviously, it will permit the receiving states to abide by international standards and norms as well. But the greater obligation is for the exporting states to trade only under strict guidelines, certainly in terms of countries that are in conflict, wars. There are certain requirements for them to trade or not to trade with them, and they have to maintain, like minimal. They have to maintain national records of the exports, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So, I believe
you don't get much then. It's
I don't think that. I think what it would do is that it would place the participating countries, the exporting countries,
mm-hmm.
under a sort of international umbrella in which it would be required to report its activities and demonstrate to the global community that it is abiding by these various standards.
Mm-hmm.
The problem I see to a certain extent is that much of it assumes that you are engaging in legitimate trade in arms.
Oh.
I'm not sure that it sufficiently addresses the question of smuggling.
I see what you mean.
Because and smuggling is the main part of our problem with the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of legitimate export of firearms from the United States, you're talking now about the trade between two states to supply the security forces, for example. And as you and I know, illegal firearms have become much more available to Jamaica these days, so there would be regulations governing that as well. It doesn't seem to me that is the greater part of our problem in Jamaica. Our problem is the smuggling of these illegal guns into Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
And so, while I am strongly pro the UN Small Arms the Arms Trade Treaty,
mm-hmm.
because I think it puts the global spotlight overall on the industry and trading practices of those who are producing it. I believe the problem for it to be effectively resolved here for us in Jamaica will rely significantly on our bilateral relationship with the United States.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
So,
I see what you mean.
Yes, I'm all for the global treaty. Mm-hmm. But I'm also saying that Jamaica and its bilateral relationship with the United States will have to be strengthened. The Biden administration in this instance has to respect Jamaica's sovereignty more in terms of the extent to which it's gone undermining the Jamaican society.
Yeah. What about those who argue that we're a relatively small country and we really and truly should be able to manage our own ports and ensure that these illegal weapons don't breach our borders? What do you say to those who might take that position?
Right. If you look at Jamaica and how porous it is in terms of all the, you're not just looking now at the established seaports and the airports, of course, but you're looking at all the little coves and beaches dotted around the island, and how easy it is for there to be movement in and out. It is not that easy. And one is not trying to let the authorities off the hook. I think it's a fact of life that it is quite porous.
Mhm.
So the Americans who are supplying the guns, there is a moral obligation on them to do all that can be done to minimize, first of all, the number of guns leaving their shores. And think about it. The port of Miami has been labeled by the American media, the New York Times, I think many years ago, carried a report in which it described Miami as the gun bazaar of the Caribbean or of the Americas. And the Americans have taken the position basically that it is not profitable for them to engage in the minute searching of outbound cargo. Because yes, it holds up their export of legitimate cargo. So it is not their concern for all of these huge containers to be searched for guns. Therefore, if they are not going to do that effectively at their ports, then extend that moral obligation to how they would support a receiving country like Jamaica in terms of beefing up our detection system and the tracing at our ports. Also, by cooperating with us in terms of the tracing of these weapons when they are detected here in Jamaica, tracing them back to the point of origin and who sent them, and also rigorously pursuing prosecutions at that end. You see how rigorous they are in pursuing and prosecuting those who are engaged in locker scamming from Jamaica.
Yes.
Which one understands it is in the interest of the American elderly people in America, for example, who are being scammed.
Mm-hmm.
But America, given all of its resources, given its capability, how could it not see it as being part of its obligation to support a country in Jamaica by also pursuing those who are engaged in this dastardly trade from that end through its criminal justice system as well?
Mm-hmm. So, what ideally, and you've shared a lot. Ideally, I mean, how do you get the United States of America in particular to act in a way that would remedy some of the areas we have looked at already? How because we haven't been able to convince them thus far, have we? At
Right.
least in as far as we can see it being manifested in
I
terms of.
don't think that we have been as persistent as we ought to be. Perhaps I think successive administrations have been too timid in terms of our bilateral relations with the United States. We look at other areas of cooperation in which we benefit from aid and other support from them, and we say, well, let's take that, let's run with that, and see whether some of that infusion can help us, for example, in terms of assisting vulnerable people in these communities where we find most of the violence. But we are forever playing catch up. We need to be more forceful, I've always said, in terms of how we face up to the Americans on this particular matter. I think that it should be the top of the agenda in almost every bilateral meeting we have with them, because it is an existential crisis for us in Jamaica.
Do we have any support regionally, globally, to increase the number of voices that are championing this cause?
It is a matter of regional and hemispheric concern, and I'll point to Mexico, which is Exhibit A for the devastating impact of those American guns on the Mexican society. And the fact that Hillary Clinton, when she became Secretary of State in 2009, she traveled to Mexico, and she freely admitted there that America was the main cause of the destabilization of the Mexican society, and due to the proliferation of American guns in Mexico. What the Mexicans have done now the current Mexican administration, they are suing several American gun manufacturers because of what their guns have done in Mexico. As to whether that will be, I don't know what will be the outcome of that. But it shows you that Mexico has taken it that seriously. Prime Minister Holness, when he was in Trinidad and Tobago recently, raised it as a matter for regional solidarity when he spoke to host Prime Minister Rowley. There is, in fact, a hemispheric treaty on small arms that the United States has never signed on to. They have not even brought it up for discussion or ratification at the Senate.
Wow.
Because it's a matter of great, and it is there because it's a matter of great hemispheric concern, and this is at the level of the OAS. So there should not be a meeting of the Organization of American States or at the Summit of the Americas where this is not agenda item number one as far as I'm concerned. It trumps all the economic and other matters.
Earl Moxham, we could go on a lot longer. We don't want it to monopolize your time, but we thank you very much for your advocacy on this particular subject. Do you recall what sparked that interest? Why you decided to do so many stories, interviews, etc. on this subject?
Because I've seen the impact of this particular crisis on the Jamaican society from my days as a schoolboy in the 1970s, heading up to the 1980 election, Dervan, all the way to now. And I am convinced that until we solve this particular problem, then we won't solve so many other socio-economic problems. We will continue, for example, to experience this dramatic brain drain. And the irony where that is concerned is that the United States, whose guns are destabilizing our society, is the main beneficiary of the export, quote unquote, of the best that Jamaica has to offer in terms of our intellectual human capacity.
Yeah.
Because that's where the majority of our bright young people have migrated to over the years.
True. To be continued, Earl Moxham. Thank you so much for adding value to this afternoon's edition of Both Sides of the Story. We're definitely going to be following up.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Take care. Earl Moxham, Special Projects Editor with the RGR Gleaner Communications Group. There's more after the break.
At Wellington Dental, they offer cleaning, filling, whitening, and other services for the entire family. The time by Wellington Dental is 4 o'clock.
¿Qué hora es en español? Son las 4:01. Quelle heure est-il en français? Les 4:01. 现在几点了？4点01分. A minute past 4 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Have you had a checkup lately? If not, now is a good time. Let's not wait till we get sick to get a checkup. How about that? Checking in with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. Let's clear some of our messages now here on your program, Both Sides of the Story. Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. Uh, Wayne Thompson says, thank you a million for the robotics interview last week. The teachers who I interacted with loved it and really appreciated it. Well, we're happy to play our part. Thank you very much, Wayne Thompson, and all the very best. Anytime. We're only too happy to help. And he says they were surprised as to how, let me see, the teachers that who interacted with the program and the idea loved it. They were surprised as to how I'm applying it as well. That made me really proud. Thank you for helping me getting the idea out. Some persons were unable to attend, but they still reached out to me for a workshop at their convenience. We're happy to hear that. Happy to hear that. And let's see some other messages. Let's go over to WhatsApp and see what's up on WhatsApp. Let's go down the line here. Neville, otherwise known as Salah, says Dervan, the head of FLA, needs to step aside. How could he deny someone a gun license because of where they're living? The same people who were given guns when they were working. The same people who were given guns when they were working for the government, as in the police. What is the difference now? I'm Salah from Kingston. Yes, Salah, that's that one has jumped out that for a lot of people who heard the news story brought to our attention by the opposition spokesman on national security, that surely they can be, if even just out of respect for the years of service that these men and women have given, and now in their, I don't want to say their twilight years, but when they are retired, because remember, while they were active, they were involved in protecting lives, property, etc., etc. And there are those whose actions were thwarted by them, who might very well have an interest in doing them something when they retire. And all that needs to happen is to have a discussion between, I mean, it might take a while to do it if you have to do these interviews with everybody, but just to get a sense of, in that whole period of preparing to apply for, or the process of applying for a license to carry a firearm as a retired policeman, that in that process that you discuss what's the particular threat, what are the whatever, but it can't be that your conclusion your conclusion is that, or the turning down of the application turns on the point of where the person lives. And one would imagine he has been living where he's living for as long as he has been serving in the constabulary. Surely the matrix, the the schema, SCHEMA, the approach has to be more mindful of the fact that these are people who have served. These are people who have served. Let's clear some more messages. And we're not saying because they have served. We're not necessarily saying that. But one would expect a more, let's just say, a more palatable uh, position than the one we have heard so far. Right. Let's go to Patriotic Jamaican in New York. Another message. In fact, hold on. Which one is this? He says, Mr. Malcolm, with all due respect, I think you misread my message. I was not suggesting that the ordinary Jamaicans handed over the country to Batman. My criticism was directed at those in authority, particularly those responsible for national security. They are the ones denying this former police officer a firearm license, not regular Jamaicans. Then he goes on to say, Mr. Malcolm, if a shipping company in New York, Miami, and this is in reference to the discussion we've been having with Earl Moxham, or we had just now with Earl Moxham, Mr. Malcolm, if a shipping company in New York, Miami, or any other city in the US allows a shipment to Jamaica that includes guns and ammunition, are there international laws that prevent Jamaica from taking away the privilege of shipping to Jamaica from that shipping company? I'm not sure about taking away. Well, surely the ideal scenario would be for law enforcers in Jamaica working, whether through our ports or in general, law enforcers in Jamaica are working with law enforcers, their counterparts in the United States of America, so that once this shipment is intercepted, or maybe they get information that a shipment, a cache of weapons has been sent to a particular shipper, and the police are able to go to that company, that shipping company, and to find those weapons, and therefore work, once they have intercepted that shipment, work with the law enforcement, their colleagues here in Jamaica, their counterparts here in Jamaica, to trace. It's something we don't do too well, to trace, to connect the dots. And so you don't end up only with one person or one suspect, but potentially several. But it has to be a coordinated approach. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Has to be a coordinated approach. And Franklin McDonald says, thank you for the interview with Earl. I have followed up with great admiration his relentless pursuit of that story, which is so important for the hands, so important for the hands and safety, or should that be health and safety? Maybe health and safety of Caribbean citizens, including Jamaica. Thank you very much, Franklin McDonald in, where in Canada is he again? Somewhere in Canada. Ren Mendez is in Canada as well. He has sent us a message on WhatsApp. He says, Sir D, I don't hear anything about people being sentenced for having illegal guns. Really? There was a few mentioned about gun being confiscated at the airport, which in my opinion is simply a PR stunt. Because if they wanted to catch the the reception of said guns, they would put a tracking device on those guns. People can stay all over the world and observe what is going on in their house in Jamaica. Yet they are not able not able, or should I say, they are not willing to track these guns. We need to see people being sentenced for these things, the same way we see of the lifeless bodies of their crime. And this is from Ren Mendez in Canada. Thank you very much for your message. 876-922-4112 to 5 are the numbers to call. Wayne Thompson is suggesting that Interpol, the International Police, could assist where this is concerned. Yes, why not? By all means, as I said, it has to be a coordinated approach. Coordinated and collaborated, or collaborative. Coordinated and collaborative. Let's see who else is messaging us here on your program, both sides of the story. Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. And you know, the history is, our history is replete with stories of these gun finds. But it's as if there is an unending flow of weapons. And the police, as Earl Moxham said earlier on, and we can all agree, based on the evidence, that the police have done a fairly decent job at intercepting and retrieving these weapons. But the speed with which, or the volume at which those weapons are being brought in are obviously overwhelming. One moment, please.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:15.
Tune in every Thursday at 3:30 p.m. for Your Legal Corner with David Walker Huntington, during both sides of the story with Dervan Malcolm on Power 106 FM. It's your source of information regarding U.S. immigration matters, combined with Power 106 FM's pioneer of diaspora broadcasting. Call in with your U.S. immigration queries and concerns on 876-922-4112 or send a text or WhatsApp message to 876-279-8598 and get the answers you need for your U.S. immigration questions. That's Your Legal Corner with Dana Walker Huntington, Thursdays at 3:30 p.m. during both sides of the story with Dervan Malcolm, only on Power 106 FM.
Que hora es en español? Son las 4:16. Quelle heure est-il en français? Les 4:16. 现在几点了？4点16分。16 minutes past 4 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Have you done your homework yet? Yes, young people. We know it's a Friday, but you know what we always say? Have some fun doing the homework now so you can have some more fun this weekend. How about that? And as we always say, young people, socialization makes you educable. Education makes you trainable. Training makes you employable. And the right attitude makes you successful. Homework time, young people. Good afternoon to Dulcie Allen and her team at the Consumer Affairs Commission, the CAC. They've been encouraging consumers to use the CAC mobile application, that's a mobile app, for guidance in making local purchasing decisions. In other words, what she's saying is that the CAC has been doing or continues to do some serious work as far as monitoring issues between merchants and consumers, and also monitoring price movements, etc. There's a lot of work that is done by the Consumer Affairs Commission, and just go check out the app, CAC, Consumer Affairs Commission, in making those, before you make those purchases. Consult the Consumer Affairs Commission. That's in keeping with their mandate. Here's for those who are planning to go to tax offices on Saturday, that's tomorrow. The story is Tax Administration Jamaica, TAJ, has cancelled plans to open select offices on Saturday in light of the impending bad weather. It said it has decided to take the necessary precautions to safeguard its facilities, staff, and clients. In a media release today, TAJ said persons can still do business online, such as payment for driver's license renewal, fitness certificates, traffic tickets, business-related taxes and deductions, and property tax, as well as electronically query property tax liabilities. Customers may also avail themselves of a range of other online payment options or use the TAJ's direct funds transfer payment channel. So those of you who are planning to do business with the tax office tomorrow, your respective tax offices, the Tax Administration Jamaica has canceled plans to open select offices on Saturday, tomorrow, in light of the impending bad weather. So make a note of that so you don't turn up and then wonder why the place is not open. And you might even send out a tweet as well, and then you realize, right, always happy to pass on these useful bits of information. After all, that's a part of our purpose: to educate, empower, enlighten, and encourage entrepreneurship. Horace, otherwise known as Spider, says no. Oops. Well, he said he didn't want us to call his name. Well, I mean, technically speaking, we haven't really spelled out your name. But anyway, he says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. Jamaica is a very dangerous place to live at times. Mr. Malcolm, that's the reason why. All right. All right. I'll remember that, Spider. I'll remember that, but I don't think they would have gotten it anyway. But I'll bear that in mind. Thank you very much. I haven't read all of the message, because Spider only wanted us to, well, he wanted us to pay particular attention to a part of his message, which would then indicate how we should operate when next he sends us a message. That's duly noted, Spider. Thank you very much, and all the very best. Continuing with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. All right, let's go into the archives right now and share with you a couple of relatable facts and general information here on both sides of the story. So let's go down the line and share with you now. Let's go to going down the line. Mm-hmm. All right, here's one. English school teacher Henry Clark was ordained in the Spanish Town Cathedral on this day in 1853. Who was Henry Clark? Henry Clark was an Englishman, but he was neither a planter nor a merchant. He never felt himself a part of the Westmoreland's plantocracy. On December 11, 1847, 19-year-old Henry Clark, a school teacher from Nottinghamshire, England, arrived at Savannah La Mar on board the Apolline or Apolline. Through an agency in London, Henry Clark obtained a teaching post at Manning's Free School, which had as its benefactor Thomas Manning, a Westmoreland planter who bequeathed a gift of land and about £800 for the setting up of a free school in the parish of Westmoreland. Manning's has as its motto, "Life without learning is death." Life without learning is death. I like that actually. I like that. I like to pay attention to school mottos. And this is a good one, Manning's. Life without learning is death. Well, let's get back to the subject of this bit of history. Henry Clark. So he essentially came to Jamaica to take up a teaching position at Manning's in Westmoreland. His salary was £60 per annum with lodging and passage. That's still a decent sum in this day and age, but not per annum. £60 per week, perhaps, or per day. Anyway, £60 per annum with lodging and passage. The emoluments that were available to Henry Clark. At the age of 23, he would be eligible for ordination as a minister of religion in the Church of England, if he so wished. Well, he waited 2 years after becoming eligible for ordination, and on this day in 1853, Henry Clark was ordained in the Spanish Town Cathedral. However, Henry Clark's most enduring legacy to his adopted country, Jamaica, was the formation of the Westmoreland Building Society. What we know today as Jamaica National Building Society, or what is now JN Bank, we should say, or JN Group, is the product of a series of mergers pioneered by Westmoreland Building Society, which was founded by Henry Clark. The book, The Story of Westmoreland, and it's a good book to get for those who want to. I would imagine if you're originally from Westmoreland or if you have ties in Westmoreland, there's a whole book on Westmoreland. And I'm happy to say I have benefited from a copy of that book. And we commend it to you, our fellow Jamaicans, and in particular, if you want to, as those with particular attention, particular connection with Westmoreland, you might want to consider getting a copy of that book, The Story of Westmoreland. So the book, The Story of Westmoreland, tells us that the first meeting of the Westmoreland Building Society was held on the 21st of December, 1873, at which 150 shares were subscribed. However, according to Jamaica National's website, on Thursday, August 13, 1874, the Westmoreland Building Society held its first directors' meeting, at which the Reverend Henry Clark, founder and first chairman, presided. And let's see another one for you. 1897, 9-year-old Stephen Kempton became the first recorded traffic fatality in Great Britain. 1897. Kempton had been trying to steal a ride from a taxi by hanging on to a spring, but lost his grip and was trapped underneath the wheel of the vehicle. The tragedy occurred on Stockmar Road near Hackney, a full 2 years before America's first traffic fatality. On this day in 1914, Cyril Graham's mother used a silver key to open the original Calabar Chapel at Sly Pen Road in Crossroads. Cyril Graham was a lawyer with the firm Cargill and Graham. 49 years later, on January 21, 1963, Cyril Graham presented to the Calabar Old Boys Association the same silver key his mother used to open the original Calabar Chapel at Sly Pen Road. That happened on this day in 1914. And another blast from the past. The Model Grocery at 5 King Street in downtown Kingston. Does anybody remember that business place? The Model Grocery, which at the time, just a quick look at a couple of items on the shopping list. They offered the Dervan brand of condensed milk at 5 pence per, what is this now? 5 pence per 1 pound tin. That's what we're picking up here. So that was 1914. Ray Charles was born on this day in 1930. The flash bulbs were patented by Johannes Ostermeyer on this day in 1930. Closer to home, 1931, municipal elections for the second council of the Kingston and St. Andrew Corporation were held on this day in 1931. The first council, which existed in 1923, was dissolved by the acting governor, A.S. Jeff, on this day in 1930. Here's another one for you, 1934. Oops, look at the time. Let's take the break and come back.
Knowledge is power. Class is in session. Power 106.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:30. Experience a night of musical high on Same Frequency this Saturday. Get ready to sing the night away inside a special edition R&B Meets a Lovers Rock Party, 9 p.m. to midnight. Tune in as we kick things off with the musical mixes of Fame 95 FM's DJ Kevin alongside the Don, Donovan Dakers, and DJ Xavier, hosted by me, your girl, Fresque. Join the Noggin Studio Party or show off your Smirnoff vodka mixes in our VIP Zoom Washington area, and tune in live on Fame 95 FM, Hits 92 FM, and on ETV, online at OneSpot Media and on Mixcloud at Fame Frequency. That's this Saturday. The ultimate R&B Meets Lovers Rock Fame Frequency Party returns. Powered by Smirnoff Vodka, the world's #1 vodka. You must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink and party responsibly. The Pharmaceutical Society of Jamaica, PHA, will host their 37th annual pharmaceutical conference under the theme Pharmacists Promoting Health, Empowering the Nation, September 22 to 25 at the Ocean Coral Spring Hotel, Mountain Spring Bay, Falmouth. Tune in to Power 106 FM this Saturday, September 24 from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. as we bring you updates on the happenings. This broadcast is brought to you by Tate's Pharmacy, National Health Fund, Community Meds Pharmacy, Lasco Pharmaceutical Division, and Everybody's Pharmacy. That's a live broadcast from the annual pharmaceutical conference this Saturday, September 24 at the Ocean Coral Spring Hotel, Mountain Spring Bay, Falmouth, here on Power 106 FM.
¿Qué hora es en español? Son las 5:28 Quelle heure est-il en français? Les 5h moins 28. 现在几点了？5点加20分。28 minutes to 5 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Do you know where your children are? Are they where they're supposed to be? Doing what they're supposed to be doing? It's a good time to check up on the children. A good time for us to continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Let's go through some recent history. Which one did we start earlier on? There was another one. We were about to start. All right, let's scroll down. Let's look at the year 2008. Dr. Peter Phillips resigned as leader of opposition business in the House and spokesman on national security on this day in 2008. His resignation followed his second defeat in the People's National Party's leadership election. On this day in 2004, Hurricane Jean slams into Haiti, killing thousands, coming just days after Hurricane Ivan. Jean was part of a series of deadly storms to hit the region during the 2004 hurricane season. And we were impacted by Hurricane Ivan in 2004 here in Jamaica. On this day in 2003, the Court of Appeal freed 2 men who were convicted of the murder of a policeman shot and killed in Spanish Town, St. Catherine, 70 years earlier. And we're going to jump over the rest of this story because the memories might be a little too much for family members, friends, and colleagues. Let's go back to 2002. At a meeting with the political ombudsman on this day in 2002, the Jamaica Labour Party and the People's National Party gave the commitment that they would remove their flags from public buildings and spaces in line with a ruling by the political ombudsman, Bishop Hero Blair. Still in 2002, on this day, let's spell it out. Up to this day in 2002, quite a number of houses in Little London, Westmoreland, were still under floodwaters. Heavy showers associated with Tropical Storm Isidore lashed the parish, leaving millions of dollars in damage. You're getting an example or an idea of the trend now when it comes to this month of September and storms in the region, some of which have impacted Jamaica over the years. So we just need to mark this period of September being the month where there is heightened unstable weather activity within the region. September is the month for that. And that has been the trend for some time now. So whatever, you make what you will with that, of that information. You decide what to do with it. 1980, the Gleaner records that the second attempt to assassinate Prime Minister Michael Manley took place on this day in 1980. According to the Gleaner, the first attempt was made on July 24 and the third attempt on December 15, 1980. And news just coming in, just popped up from the, well, it's taking a while to load, from the Observer. Teenage boy sentenced to life for rape, buggery, and murder of 9-year-old girl. What a tragedy that was, and still is, considering that we're talking about a youngster. The teenage boy convicted of raping, buggering, and strangling to death a 9-year-old girl in 2018 has been sentenced to life in prison with eligibility for parole after 23 years and 9 months. Supreme Court Judge Justice Courtney Day handed down the sentence this afternoon, describing as horrific the offenses by the youngster whom he said allowed himself to be overcome by this abnormal sexual passion towards a young child. Terrible, terrible, terrible situation there in so many ways. Whew. Oh boy. Let's keep it going here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Wayne Thompson says, I remember following the story of Brianna, a handgun purchased very easily in America, but then found its way onto the streets of Jamaica. I remember when drugs flowed into the US from Colombia. And Wayne goes on to say there was a very strong response from the DEA. I think the ease at which one can purchase a gun in the US affects us deeply here in Jamaica. They, the US, too, TOO, should be a part of the solution. Well, that's what that treaty seeks to assure, except that a little more teeth is needed. Yeah. Let's see what comes of that and whether the support grows to the point where it becomes reality. Well, look who is saying hi to us this afternoon. It's Rachel G. She says, good evening, Dervan. Good afternoon, Rachel. She says, I have been wondering for 14 years now, when will the people who don't live up on the hills will be able to leave their homes when it rains? Hold on, let's go again. I have been wondering for 14 years now, when will the people who don't live up on the hills are going to be able to leave their homes when it rains? I would imagine you're speaking of areas that are frequently flooded. It would appear that that is the point being made. If there's more to it, as apparently there is, because Rachel G is typing right now, then please tell us. In the meantime, let's continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. And here is another story of a teenager. Story of another teenager. Oh boy. Teen gets 15 years in prison for stabbing father to death in Westmoreland. The 18-year-old boy who stabbed his father, Reverend Garnet Foster Sr. Oh yes, I remember this story. What a tragedy. The 18-year-old boy who stabbed his father, Reverend Garnet Foster Sr. to death in Westmoreland last year, July, has been sentenced to 15 years in prison. Justice Courtney Day handed down the sentence in the Home Circuit Court in Kingston this afternoon. Garnet Foster Jr., who was 17 at the time he committed the murder, will have to serve 10 years in prison before he's eligible for parole. The teen pleaded guilty to murder in the Westmoreland Circuit Court on July 26. Foster Sr., 45, who was the pastor of the Church of God of the Mountain Assembly, was killed in his sleep at the family's home in Petersfield on July 23, 2021. According to police reports, the teen told his uncle and grandmother, who live next door, that he had discovered his father's body lying in blood with a knife. Oh dear. That was another tragedy. And another teenager who will grow up in prison. We're losing too many of our children to that kind of situation, which is why, sorry, we have to give them all the encouragement and support that we can. We really have to, just to ensure that they stay on the straight and narrow. What a waste of a life. This Rachel sends us a rejoinder to her earlier message. She says the people who are closer to, I think you mean downtown, I only see the word down here. The people who are closer to downtown have no way of moving around when it rains, Dervan. The streets are filled with dirty, stagnant water that have settled year after year. What a shame. I believe you're referring to Spanish Town in particular, Rachel G. Is that your main reference point, or downtown anywhere in any parish in Jamaica that we regard as, any area we regard as downtown? Cuban in Georgia says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. And he has Sir Malcolm here. I just want to know if Jamaicans started battening down their roofs and secure them priceless secure them priceless possession, I think he wants to say. I would imagine so. From all indications, their Jamaicans went to pick up items or are in line now picking up food items. Interestingly enough, I was in a particular outlet yesterday, and well, let's take the break and come back.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:45. There's a retirement crisis in Jamaica, with only approximately 10% of the working population saving towards retirement. Many people do not participate in a formal pension plan, such as contract workers and the self-employed, and some are not eligible for a government pension. Every member of the workforce has the opportunity to participate in a pension plan and secure a monthly income for their retirement. Join Real Business every Monday at 9:30 a.m. for an informative discussion with Peter Rosewall, Managing Director of BPM Financial, discussing the importance of retirement planning and the solutions to move Jamaica out of this crisis. Retirement Wealth Creation is brought to you by BPM Financial Limited, taking you higher. The Pharmaceutical Society of Jamaica, PHA, will host their 37th annual pharmaceutical conference under the theme Pharmacists Promoting Health, Empowering the Nation, September 22 to 25 at the Ocean Coral Spring Hotel, Mountain Spring Bay, Falmouth. Tune in to Power 106 FM this Saturday, September 24, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. as we bring you updates on the happenings. This broadcast is brought to you by Tate's Pharmacy, National Health Fund, Community Meds Pharmacy, Lasco Pharmaceutical Division, and Everybody's Pharmacy. That's a live broadcast from the annual pharmaceutical conference this Saturday, September 24, at the Ocean Coral Spring Hotel, Mountain Spring Bay, Falmouth, here on Power 106 FM.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. ¿Qué hora es en español? Son las 5 menos 13. Quelle heure est-il en français? Il est 5 heures moins 13. 现在几点了？5点加13分。13 minutes to 5 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Good afternoon to all working Jamaicans tuned into both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. It's a good time for us to ask ourselves, how productive have we been today? How productive have we been today? Taking more of your calls on 876-922-4112 to 5. 876-922-4112 to 5. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can not only send us your text messages, your WhatsApp messages, your voice notes, but you can also call us on WhatsApp. That number is 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. Well, look at this now. Let's go to, is this South Africa? Yes, indeed, South Africa. News out of South Africa. South Africa teens. So on the one hand, we're just hearing about a couple of teens who have run afoul of the law here in Jamaica. And now this story of South Africa teens who are on the other side doing good. South Africa teens build solar train as power cuts haunt commuters. For years, students in a South African township have seen their parents struggle to use trains for daily commutes. The railway is frequently hobbled by power outages and cable theft. To respond to the crisis, a group of 20 teenagers invented South Africa's first fully solar-powered train. South Africa's first fully solar-powered train, created by a group of 20 teenagers. Photovoltaic panels fitted to the roof. The angular blue and white test train moves on an 18-meter long or 6-foot long test track in Soshanguve Township, north of the capital, Pretoria. Trains are the cheapest mode of transport in South Africa, used mostly by the poor and working class. Well done to these students. This is the kind of ingenuity and mental dexterity that we want to encourage our children to pursue, because they have it in them to do great things. Well done to these teenagers in South Africa. Well done. A couple more messages before we get ready to close out today's edition of Both Sides of the Story. Frederick Miller says, good evening, Mr. Malcolm. Good afternoon. They are making a big deal out of this police officer not getting a firearm license. There are officers in Jamaica who are also involved in criminal activity. No one knows why this person got denied. But the information was put out there. The issue was raised. The issue was raised by the opposition spokesman on national security, Peter Bunting, former National Security Minister, Senator Peter Bunting, the story says, is blasting the Firearms Licensing Authority's, FLA's, policy of denying police personnel a firearm license due to the cops' home address, home address. The reason given by the FLA for not granting these permits is that they believe the officers, because of where they live, are likely to be placed in greater danger if they are armed. The leader of opposition business in the Senate was speaking on Thursday as he made his contribution to the debate on the Firearms Prohibition, Restriction and Regulation Act, which was passed in the House of Representatives earlier this month. And it goes on. In knocking the policy, Bunting argued that it was putting the lives of policemen and women at risk. He emphasized that they were being deprived of a legal weapon to defend or protect themselves because of their wrong address, in parentheses, in inverted commas. So there's that. Who was it? Frederick? Where's the message? That is the story, Frederick. He says they need to stop dumping. Oh, I'm changing course now, changing subject. They need to stop dumping garbage in the drains. Yes, as you heard from a Jamaican who has been living in Bermuda for maybe about 40 or more years. Oops, don't try to guess her age now. She proudly told us earlier on that they don't dump things in drains in Bermuda. They don't. I mean, I don't recall seeing any dumped up drainage or gully anywhere. I don't recall seeing on my 3 trips to Bermuda. Never seen anything like that. So that's one of the features of an orderly society. The proper disposal of waste. Their waste is picked up once a week. I wonder how many of us in Jamaica can say we get our garbage picked up once a week. A lot of work to do. Who is this now? Hits 92 FM is watching us on YouTube. Is that it? It's 92 FM, Sunday, October 9, 2022. Oh, something is happening on that day, I guess. And Hits 92 FM using the opportunity to tease it on our YouTube channel. That's fine. But I don't see any other information with respect to what's going to happen on Sunday, October 9, 2022. Guess we'll have to just wait and see. Eunice Beckford says she's in St. Thomas. What a breath of fresh air hearing the news from the South African teens. Yes, we love those stories. We love those stories. And let's go down the line. Let's go back to Spider. Spider says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. Sometimes I wonder if the government just sitting down and hoping for the gunmen to just stop the killing. Just like that. There are a lot of trained dogs out there who can find guns and ammunition. Thanks for your message, Spider. We need all the help we can get. Rachel G says you would have to hire a vehicle or cancel any trip. It's not just Spanish Town, it's all the downtown places, including Montego Bay. Are they saying they think it's impossible to open up the drains, run some tubes along the way, which will lead to the place where all this water should go? Asks Rachel G. And she's still typing from what we're seeing. So she has more to say. Well, it's that time. Can we thank you once again for the privilege of serving you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story, for today, Friday, the 23rd of September, 2022. The moving finger writes, and having writ moves on, nor all your piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all your tears wash out a word of it. All things being well, both sides of the story returns Monday afternoon, 2 to 5. Till then, this is Dervan Malcolm inviting you to join us if you are able to tomorrow morning from 6 to 9 on the Jamaican Diaspora Live Online. Till then, take care and please have a safe and peaceful weekend.
The rich man's wealth is in the Fixation of the soul is destruction of poverty. Poor man's wealth is in a holy
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
5 o'clock.
News, comprehensive, powerful, and credible. Power 106 FM now presents a simulcast of Radio Jamaica's News at 5.